Okay, first one. Andy Cleve? How is pre-season going and new signings settling in? Very well so far. We're only 10 days in, but some good things, some good signs. It's a very athletic group straight away. I wouldn't say at the moment because of probably how new they are to the place. I wouldn't say it's as charismatic as, let's say, last year, but very, very good. Mark Little and Grant Smith have been excellent. Barnett showed some good things. Wakefield's a frightening athlete. And anyone else that I forgot that's here, so lucky. A goal scoring striker is to be top of every club's list there to achieve the aim of promotion. Are we any closer to signing one, as we are short in that area? Well, we're only short if we carry on playing with two. If we play with one, then and wide players, then we're comfy with Ruben and Joe. Of course, I like having a plethora of options at centre forward. Are we close to signing a forward? No. We'll probably have to wait late for that one. Normally, because obviously forwards, they go for the higher premiums, and we're probably going to have to wait till they come into our capabilities. Do you anticipate using the loan market? Absolutely, of course. Free loans, young loans, senior loans. Jimmy Smith was a brilliant loan for us. So, all of those types of things to try and get a squad together. But I think the loans will probably come a little bit later this year than they did last year. We saw that as a bit of a mistake in hindsight, doing our loans first and then permanents later. So they'll probably come last thing. That's one. Do you believe Yeovil can get promotion this season? Absolutely. I think this is, if you look at League Two and the National League in the last 12 months, you would say the unfanciable have gone up. Even if you look at Morecambe in League Two, you look at Cambridge, they wouldn't have been targeted for promotion in any way. And same with our league. Sutton would never have been in contention, and Hartlepool have had some average at best seasons, with all due respect. Look where Torquay finished last season before, compared to their ascent this year, or last year, sorry. So absolutely we can. I think the squad last year was good enough to get promoted. We just never had the availability. 33 back fours we played last year in 42 games, so it was a difficult campaign in that respect in its own right. But absolutely, of course, the only reason I'm here. How have players looked so far in pre-season? Who are you most excited for next season? Have the club got a new striker lined up? Very similar to the last one. That's from Finley. Very good attitude. Ran very hard. It's a little bit quiet because it's new. It's a little bit quiet because it's younger. So it's not that kind of substance yet to their personalities. Who am I most excited about? Well, if young Tom can start the season in the fashion that he finished with, we've obviously got a real asset on our hands. I made that statement that, he could be the best or brightest player outside the Football League, and certainly if he starts in the manner in which he finished, he's well on target for that. And have we got a new striker lined up? Again, that might come late. I think in my first year, I think we had Breach Murphy and Courtney only until 7 or 8 games in, and then we had Gold, and then I think we signed Chris Dagnall after that. So I think it may follow that trend this year. Scott Browning, would you ever manage Weymouth? No, seeing that Benitez has crossed the rival lines. Not putting you in Rafa's league just yet until you get Yeovil promoted. Darren, that's from Scott Browning. No, look, my allegiance is to Yeovil. I don't want to manage any other club really right now. It's Yeovil, irregardless of our rivals. We've had a lot go on in the last 2 years that kind of connects you with the area. And my daughter was born in Somerset, so lots of things that kind of gravitate you towards, where you work. But it's funny you refer to Rafa, because when it's time for a bit of a trim of the beard every month, I do a nice goatee and I show the lads, and they all say I look like Rafa Benitez. So I think I look like David Brent, but there we go. Good question though, thanks for that. Rich Bartlett, what's your favourite beer drink? Yeah, I like an Estrella. Me and Terry are partial to an Estrella or 19. Hugh Jeffrey, in a choice between a ham or cheese sandwich, which one do you choose? Neither really. That's pretty boring sandwiches, mate. You better liven up yourself. I don't know this one. AID in Atlantic. AID in Atlantic. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Hopefully very successful. Hopefully healthy. Hopefully with a healthy family. Hopefully in the EFL with Yeovil. Darryl Gray, have you ever got in touch with ex-Glover managers like Nathan Jones or Lee Johnson, see if they can send a few players down our way? That's from Darryl Gray. Darryl, Josh Nerfield's from Luton, Nathan Jones manages Luton, so that's an obvious one that way. Lee and I are very good friends, very close. We started our kind of managerial journeys pretty alongside each other. Certainly a lot of our education and badges and LMA work came together. That's where we met. Great guy, really brilliant guy. Nathan's been a fantastic product of this club in terms of his management, his success. A very good coach, very nice man. But I would say, I'd say Terry's a little bit closer to Nathan, or a lot closer to Nathan, and I'm quite close to Lee. So good guy, always there at the end of the phone, experienced, done brilliant in his career, Lee. No, good guy, very good guy, good coach. Never lets me have any of his players though. Sam K, are there any plans to implement more flexibility in terms of the formation, 4-4-2, 3-4-3, 4-5-1, so on? Yeovil chose to play, I think you mean choose to play, and recruiting the players to be able to do this. I think in modern football sometimes it's necessary to adapt depending on the opponent. Well, that's from Sam K. Sam, we played every system under the sun last year purely because sometimes we only had 3 defenders, sometimes we only had 4 midfield players, sometimes we only had 1 forward. So I think when you are working at this end of football, I don't think you really have a choice on signing players to fit certain profiles or systems. I think normally the system kind of finds the players by what you sign, and what you sign here is the best of what you can get for the cost in which you can spend. So that's a real idyllic scenario in my career. I probably only had it once when I was in the Premier League. But apart from that, you have to work around what the market is telling you and what players are available. Adam Barrington, what aspects of football management do you enjoy most? That's a very good question. I love affecting change. That's a big thing in behaviour, in technical aspects, of course. I love working with people. Really like working with interesting people with character, maybe the types of people that normally the football world would say would be bad eggs or bad characters or disruptive. I like those ones. I just see it as character. I love the coaching side of it, of course, because that's my trade. But no, brilliant job, absolutely brilliant job. Does Yeovil geographical location hinder recruitment process? It does if the player that we want lives far away. If the player we want lives round the corner, then it's great. But primarily, we try and get round that with creative timetables, and we have very good accommodation here for players that sign. I don't think it has hindered us actually in my time. I think there's been previous comments under different managers that maybe the location hindered us, but I think, like any job, the individual wants to earn as much money as they can, and if the fee is right for their services, you get them no matter where you are. So I think it's just about having enough money, if I'm honest. Good question though. Louis B, what's pre-season like so far? Like I said, very good commitment, very quiet still. Game you're most looking forward to this season? I'll come back to that one. Expect any more signings? I certainly hope so, Louis. I certainly hope so. We will stay at the Oval past next summer. Whether I stay at the Oval past next summer is always dependent on the employer. Nothing to do with me. I'd love to stay here. Absolutely love. Like I said before, I've got a huge connection now. I feel that, in a deeper sense, I think Lee's still here with us in some way or form. So there's that connection. So I'd love to stay here, but you have to ask Scott, I think. Game you're most looking forward to this season? I love the derbies. I get nervous before the derbies, if I'm honest. Weymouth away, I was really nervous, just because there's an appetite, to make sure you get it right. I do like going to the Wrexhams. I love going to Stockport, Notts Counties. I like going to proper old football clubs. I think they're really good games. I think every game in this division is competitive, but I do like the feel of that old stadia when you walk in. Bethia Jordan, what do you do in the hotel when you go to an away game? Terry warned me of this question, Bethia. So we play Uno, and it becomes very, very competitive. And either or, Terry normally shouts at me or I shout at him. One of us will always storm out. So far, I would say I'm the clear winner, and he hasn't got this forum, so I am the clear winner. What does the Darren Sarll pre-season consist of? That's by Yeo. It depends what stage I'm at the club. But the first year I came in, I ran them really hard because I'd watched the relegation. The game at Northampton, I thought it lacked real character, so I went as far back to the dark ages as possible and tortured them with run after run, just to see who had that strength, and that was the right thing to do then. This year, now we're 3 years in, it's a little bit more specific in terms of football and getting the balance right between football, but there's no getting away from it. The only way you get fit is by running. So a lot of my work is the mentality and the aerobic side of it. And a lot of Terry's work is getting them football strong with their passing, their movement, the way they move their feet, they change their body position. And we work together. But yeah, I do like seeing the mentality of players when they're at their most fatigued, because I think you see the real strength of character when they're at their most vulnerable. So no, it's tough. I think most players who say played for me have always probably commented how tough the pre-season is, which I enjoy. Glover's cast, Darren's meal deal of choice. I have no idea what a meal deal consists of anymore, I'm afraid. Maybe that makes me a bit of a snob. It used to be a sandwich and a bag of crisps and a drink, I think. So, yeah, I don't really know where to go with that one if I'm being brutal. I don't know. Liam Rice, who inspired you to start coaching at such a young age? I started coaching when I was 13. I just loved being in charge, if you like. It was a bit of an ego thing. Started coaching like 8 and 9 year olds, and then by the time I was 18, it was my full-time job. And it used to kind of work together with, my young sort of playing career in non-league, and I finished at 20. My badges at 22 with my A licence, and I just decided to finish playing and just concentrate on coaching. So I would say I'm not sure who inspired me to coach. I just think it was something that I always wanted to do. It's always something I felt comfortable doing, and I had when I was 16 and I was released by the club I was at the time. I went into what we do here now, which is the college programmes, and I met a guy called Robbie O'Keefe, and Robbie was a coach educator, and he's now the academy manager at Stevenage. We've been long-time friends since then, and he basically taught me how to coach. I followed him everywhere to learn how to coach, and I whizzed through the coaching badges, and yeah. So I'd probably say he was probably the one that that got me coaching to that level. I don't know how to pronounce it. How do you pronounce that? Exactly.
Yeah.
That guy there, or girl there. I'm not really sure. Any advice to young players? Yeah, obviously you have to love football. It has to be your world, and you have to commit yourself to it in its entirety. And there's huge sacrifices, because we're talking about a trade that can start as early as 1 and can stop as early as 35, and then you've got another 30 years of your working life. So you've got to commit yourself for a very, very small period of time, really, when you think about it. But those that do commit normally get more out of it. The other thing is, be prepared and be open to critique and criticism, because we're in a world now where honesty is frowned upon. Criticism is discouraged. And what criticism does, when you receive criticism, and I should know because I get it every weekend, criticism, when you can take that criticism and you can still go out and do your job or do your hobby or your passion every day, that adds a layer of resilience to you. So, after what we went through this year, I would say that my resilience is at its all-time strongest, because of the way that we've taken these moments, these really, really horrible parts of our life, and we've still moved forward. So the players just getting out after Lee died was a huge thing, showed incredible resilience, that they could take that moment and still go out and do their job, still go and try and perform. I thought took the most unbelievable amount of courage, more courage than any other bad run of form or any of the other nonsense that goes on in football. So I think the big thing for young players, criticism, the right way, and I'm talking about coaching. I'm not talking about social media and lambasting people and really, really being just downright nasty. When your coaches criticise you, when they say that you need to be better at this, take it on board and get back out there and do something about it, and you'll become a really resilient individual. Do EPDP players get any chance to progress through the ranks? Of course, if they're good enough. Absolutely. I've had so many players that I've taken. Luke Norris was one who now plays for Stevenage. I took him out of a college scheme when I was at Brentford. Played for Brentford's first team. He's played for Colchester, Swindon, and has made a very good career out of himself coming out of a college scheme. So those develop at different rates all the time. If they're good enough, they can absolutely progress. But they've got to be good enough, and it's unfortunately for everyone else at the football club, it's not if they think they're good enough, it's whether I think they're good enough. And if that's the case, then why wouldn't we progress someone? Couple more?
Yeah, a couple more.
Matt.0604, who out of all the English league managers would you say you have the best relationship? Obviously I had a brilliant relationship with Glenn Roeder, and he was my go-to for everything. So he was great, and he introduced me to a world of successful people that I could never get to. He would go for lunch with Tony Adams and people like that. He could access a world. In terms of league managers now, I would say in the National League, Simon Rusk at Stockport is pretty close to me. Lee Johnson's is a good friend. There's so many. The problem is with football management is that it's very hard to. You're just acquaintances more than friends because of the nature of the job, and we're all trying to beat each other and trying to also have a job. Who wouldn't want to be the Sunderland manager, for example? So. There's lots of people that I'm very privileged that I can call when I need advice. Andy Scott, who's now head of recruitment at Swansea, is as good a contact and mentor in my life as I've got. They're probably the people I speak to most. If you had to select 5 players from the squad right now to take penalties, who would they be? That's Simon Maris. I would back Grant Smith, definitely. Jordan Barnett. I would back. Luke Wilkinson I would back. Ruben Reid I'd back. Young Tom Knowles I'd back. Quigley. I think there's some wonderful ball strikers. I think the difficulty when you're talking about picking 5 penalties in the way that Gareth picked his 5 penalty takers is no one knows until that moment's there, and there are so many external factors to people being able to successfully take penalties. I mean, last year I think we missed 4 penalties, which is extraordinary. But so it's a lot of things. It's not just ball striking. If it was ball striking, it'd be simple. But it's having that temperament, that composure, and being able to control your nerves, definitely. Robert Peach, are all the signings to come only going to be loans, or are we capable of more permanence? I'd like more permanence, Robert. I'd definitely like that. I would definitely like a couple more players, and they might be loans or permanent, that really impact the starting 11. I still think we're 2 away in the 11 to really leave a dent on things and really strengthen the squad. I think now the squad is thick with players of a certain age and a certain profile, i.e. young, up and coming, an asset, or that kind of pre-24 where they're still not played full campaigns. So I'd like a couple of old men now, I think, or some ridiculously talented players that we're capable of getting.
Last one.
Jamie Locke, South West Coast Walk. Blimey, mouthful. What has been your favourite moment so far as Yeovil manager? Favourite moment. All of the normal ones. I really enjoyed the Halifax game here at home in year 1, where we went down to 10 men, we won 2-0. I thought that was just us in that period. So resilient, so fit, and really, lots of games, lots of experience, character. I thought that was a brilliant performance. I really enjoyed that one. In a strange way, the Maidenhead game this year, when fans were first back in, that's the only game I enjoyed this year. So that was a big one. And then the Aldershots and Torquays and Torquay home and away, obviously in year 1, not in year 2, because that was a catastrophe. There's been so many. There's been some really great ones. Even the last game of the season when we celebrated Lee and his life, I thought that was a real wonderful mark of respect to a great man. So there's been loads. It's a club I very much enjoyed working with. Love to stay here for a longer period, and desperate, absolutely desperate to give it the success it deserves.